New Mutants, issue 22. This is one of those kind of weird calm down issues after everything that's been happening the last God knows how many issues, where we finally get at the introduction of Warlock. The print date on this was December 1984. And we start up and it feels relatively calm. But before we dive into that, let's talk about Stan Lee presenting a Claremont Sienkiewicz production of the New Mutants. So that's Chris Claremont writing, Bill Sienkiewicz doing the art, Glynis Wein doing the colors, Tom Orzechowski doing the lettering, and Nisanti editor, and Jim Shooter editor-in-chief. And I love that it opens up with Nightcrawler, because to me, he's always the best type of teacher. All limbered up, I suppose. Nervous. Yeah, a little. Scared of heights. Strange attitude for someone who can fly. Now watch me, Sam, and do precisely what I do. And I gotta say, I love Sienkiewicz's style with Nightcrawler, where he's just those very surreal, sharp shadows. And Sam's trying to pay attention to how Nightcrawler is moving, because if you remember, before X Factor, Sam, when he was in the New Mutants, he could blast, but he couldn't do the sharp turns. He always ended up crashing. So for the whole early era of New Mutants, it was Sam trying to learn how to do that. And it says, Sam Gerthy is a mutant too. And here in the Danger Room, Nightcrawler is trying to teach him how to best use his own unique abilities. Let your body flow naturally from the next movement to the next. You'll be able to shift orientation in mid-flight. And without warning, there's smoke and flame, the stench of brimstone, the sound of imploding air. Bamf! And Nightcrawler is instantly back where he started, without any trouble at all. You don't look convinced. I understand what to do in my head. The problem is getting my body to follow through. There has to be a first time for everything. And that's what I like about Sam Gerthy, because we come back to the early New Mutants, and even though he was co-leader with Danny, where Danny was a little more confident in her abilities and her ability to lead the team, Sam was too. But he always kind of had these moments, as you see here in his face, where he's just worried that he's not going to be able to lead the team. I'm the oldest of the New Mutants. Professor Xavier says the kids look up to me for leadership, to set an example. But everyone keeps getting better at using their powers while I stay pretty much the same. What if I'm as good as I'm ever going to get and not improving because I can't? You'll be fine, Sam. Trust me. And then we kind of see Ram, we'll call her Ram. She comes in, she goes, I came to wish you luck. And of course, she's the youngest. And Rain's always has been an interesting character because she came from a very sheltered background, where Sam came from the coal mines. Rain was raised in like a Catholic type of zealots type church. And so everything that is normal to us has been twisted, being taught to her. Where she goes, ugh, I wish it weren't the demon teaching them. Nightcrawler frightens me so. How can anything so evil looking be a friend? And from a sense, you can kind of see that Kitty had the same thought, but Rain exacerbates it because of the stuff of the zealotry that was beaten into her head as a child. And what I've always loved about Kurt, and this is why he's probably still to this day one of my most favorite X-Men, is he understands what people feel just from first glance. And rather than be like, oh, my feelings are hurt, he sets an example. And even though sometimes he'll be playful. So, of course, unfortunately, Sam tries. Nightcrawler saves him. He goes, we'll start again. Climb up there and I'll join you in a minute. Because even though Kurt can be mature and knows how to be a great teacher, he's also can be a little shit. And I'm okay with that. It goes, a devilish gleam in his eye. Nightcrawler plays with his portable command module. Instantly, the vast chamber transforms itself into a circus tent. Some of the elements are real, others are illusions. Holographic projections, so sophisticated they'll fool anyone. Rain's like, my clothes! May I have this waltz? I've never danced. I didn't know how. Then, my dear, it's past time you learn. Enjoying yourself? Oh, yes. I'm glad. This was a real pleasure, Rain, but I must go. Sam's waiting. Sam? But I thought, aren't you? Demon, you tricked me. I meant no harm. I merely wish to show you that you should never judge by appearances. What a person or thing looks like means no thing. It is what they are inside, in their hearts and souls that matters. Liar! That's not true. It cannot be. If you're no demon, then all I've been taught since I was born, perhaps even the good book itself, is false. So it's what I like about this scene is it doesn't feel preachy. It doesn't feel like it's showing that life is not black and white. And what was forcefully, instead of something that should have been taught to her as in a loving sense without getting too philosophical here, it was show, just like all those zealots out there, it's evil, it's evil. And Kurt's trying to show that that's not the case, regardless of what people may look like on the outside, where Kurt may look like a demon. Ray may be able to turn into, because that's another thing that she struggles with is being able to turn into a wolf, because they called her unnatural. So now being separated from that environment and learning new things, she's trying. She really is, but she's struggling with it. And I love just in these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 panels. We see what Rahne is struggling with and how Nightcrawler is being patient with her. And while using his goofiness, he's trying to teach her something. And that's something powerful to do in that many. And I love it. And Kurt just says, let her go, Sam. Leave her be for now. This is something the child has to work out for herself. And that's exactly what Xavier's school is. And it's just a beautiful teaching. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then we cut over to Colossus trying to help Berto channel his strength. And remember, Bobby's always kind of been a hothead from the beginning. It still is to this day. He goes, pompous giant. I know that. By heaven, I would give anything to flatten you, Colossus, to show you I can take care of myself. And at this point, Colossus is sort of a senior member of the X-Men. So it's the young teaching the new and inexperienced, no matter how powerful they may be. And, Bobby gets, gets distracted by Rahne running by, and he goes, pay attention. And combat, a foe would not be so gentle. Colossus, that hurt. Nobody strikes a DaCosta Russian and gets away with it. Whomp. And he just begins to channel his sunspot energy. And Colossus is feeling this pain all of a sudden. And Berto's hands are just morphing and freaking out. And it's just a good moment. He goes, oh, they're normal again. I must have been imagining things. Colossus, don't be upset with Roberto. You're not to blame. I feel so strange. I probably caught a touch of the flu. Now remember, we've just recently been introduced to Warlock. So Rahne's looking in on what Moira and Xavier are doing. And she's like, can't you read his mind, Charles? Yes, but comprehending those thoughts is another matter entirely. Fascinating. His form's totally mutable. He can be anything he wants. And it seems he's as curious about us as we are about him. Since your presence, Rahne, is there anything you want? If it isn't urgent, I prefer you see me later. We're very busy. Warlock consumes organic matter in a most unique fashion. With a touch, he somehow transmutes his substance into organic living circuitry like himself. Then he simply drains its energy, rendering the construct inert. He's done this to a flower, a tree. Demon, he could just as easily do it to a person. And so, with Colossus saying, I must have just caught a touch of the flu, we can kind of see how, even though Warlock isn't meaning to harm anyone, just the type of threat he could possibly be. It's just a great little moment. And Rahne's trying to, of course, reach up to Danny. Now remember, Danny and Rahne are close. They consider each other sisters. And you can see how either would do whatever they could to help one another. That's why I got so upset in the movie that it made them lovers. when you know the relationship of them in the book, it just felt creepy, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So going back, letting that go, we then get one of those meanwhile type moments with the Hellfire Club. And I think, who is this? Celine. This isn't her first appearance, it's the first appearance of this cat. And essentially, she's coming back saying that she needs wealth. And he's like, get out of here. I don't know who you are. Then it's like, by the sacred fire, Celine, after 2 millennia, our goddess has returned. As your high priest, blessed one, I exist to serve. Your slightest wish is my command. Such loyalty, Von Rome, is most welcome. I require a residence. I believe I have the ideal solution. It is called the Hellfire Club. And so I believe this is the first time Celine is introduced to the Hellfire Club and Sebastian Shaw and is inducted as the Black. So even though we're getting, as I said, with the Thor issue, even though it's a calm down book, we're still seeing how things are beginning to build up. Now, the latter half of this book, where we're kind of starting to see things build up, what's been going on, we then get into Rahne's head, and she's writing like this fairy tale. I don't know. I don't know, man. It was an interesting tale, but it just feels. It's one of those juxtapositions where it felt disjointed from the rest of the story, but at the same time, everything that we just seen with Rahne, we get to see all these thoughts and feelings that she's struggling with. But then it kind of ends on this sort of somber moment of this Shadow Man. So who may be the Shadow Man? I don't know. We'll have to check out the next issue together. Bill Sienkiewicz's art on the New Mutants is still, to me, is one of the definitive. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Bob McLeod's work, but Bill Sienkiewicz, and it's Halloween. I guess I should be Dracula. I don't know. Bill Sienkiewicz always it hit a vibe for this book, and it separated the tone of the X-Men that was more action and suspense, and Sienkiewicz definitely gave it that horror theme, and that's why the directors of the movie, of the New Mutants movie, said that what they were inspired by was Sienkiewicz's horror work with the Demon Bear, which, from what I understand, they never consulted anyone else or read anything else, and that's why the movie bombed. You can see they got a lot of stuff wrong. But nonetheless, it's an entertaining book. Again, it's not one of those ones where big, spectacular things happen, but it's still a quiet issue. You get some ideas of what's happening. And of course, it's the New Mutants, and seeing like moments with Nightcrawler, moments with Colossus, and how Warlock is eventually coming to know the X-Men is just a great issue all around. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is like to get your action figures and comics and grab this issue. If you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate it if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little X bell, next subscribe. That way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.